Daf Yomi Tractate, Bava, page 70a, part 2. From the words Va'amri Nardai, and the sages of Narda state another halacha with regard to this kind of document. A document of authorization in which is not written, "Go and take legal action against so-and-so, and take possession of the owed property and collect it from him. For yourself has no substance." In other words, it is not a valid document. What is the reason for this? It is because the other party, the bailee or debtor, can say to the collector who presents a document without this clause, "I am not legally answerable to you. I am willing to deal only with the person to whom the item is owed. To avoid this situation, the authorization document must transfer actual ownership of the item to the collector, who is now claiming it for himself." The bias said, and if it is written in the document that the owner transferred ownership of only half of the item to the collector, or a third or a quarter of it, this is sufficient. The reason is that since the bailee or debtor must relate to the judgment, in other words, engage in litigation with the collector over half the or third or quarter of item that has been transferred to the collector, he must relate to the judgment concerning of all of it. A Maimar said, if the collector who is empowered by the authorization seized the item he collected and kept it for himself, the court does not take it away from him, as the owner transferred ownership of the item to him. In the document of authorization, as explained above, Rav Ashi disagreed with the Maimar and said, since the owner wrote, "To the collector I accept upon myself anything that develops as a result of this legal process," he has in effect rendered the collector an agent to act on his behalf, y'all. And therefore the agent cannot seize the item for himself. Word. And there is another opinion that states the owner renders the collector partner of the collected item, transferring ownership of half of it to him while maintaining ownership of the other half. The Gemara asks, what is the practical difference between the opinion and that of Rashi? The Gemara answers, the difference is whether the collector has the power to seize half of the collected item for himself. If he is merely agent of the owner, he cannot seize anything. If he is a partner, he can seize up to half. The Gemara concludes that in the halacha is that the owner renders the collector's agent, and therefore the agent may not seize any portion of the collected item for himself. Mishnah, new Mishnah, brand new Mishnah. The Mishnah lists a series of cases in which a thief is required to pay for fourfold or fivefold penalty if one stole an animal, as established based on testimony to witnesses, and he subsequently slaughtered and the animal he slaughtered or he sold it, and two people saw him also, based on testimony to witnesses, he pays four or fivefold payment. Okay. If one stole an animal and sold it on Shabbat Chadash, he sold it on Shabbat Kodesh, or he stole it for he stole it and he sold it for idol worship, or if he stole it and slaughtered it in Yom Kippur, he does pay the fourfold or fivefold payment, although his sale or slaughter in these circumstances involve a sin. He is not liable to receive the death penalty for the sale, and it must consequently pay fourfold or fivefold payment. If one stole an animal of his father's and then slaughtered or sold it, and afterward his father died and he inherited his father's estate either on his own or in a partnership with his brothers, or if he stole the animal and he slaughtered it and afterward he consecrated it, he pays the fourfold or fivefold payment. In the case of one who stole an animal, no one pays 4 or 5 right now. This never happens. It never will happen. In the case of one who stole an animal and slaughtered it, not for the purpose of eating its meat, but to use it for medicinal purposes, or to feed the meat to the dogs, Likewise, the thief who slaughters the animal to eat its meat, but it was found to be with the animal with a condition, it was a treifa basically, or a thief who slaughters a non-sacred animal in the courtyard, he pays 4 or 5. Okay? Rabbi Shimon exempts the thief from the fourfold or fivefold payment in these two cases. He exempts him, that's it. The Gemara. Let us say that the Mishnah is not in accordance with the opinions of Rabbi Akiva. The Gemara elaborates. Okay, let us say, alright, we're almost done. Fine. The Mishnah teaches if 2 witnesses testify about the theft of an animal, and 2 others testify about his slaughter or sale, the thief pays fourfold or fivefold payment. The Gemara suggests that this is not like Rabbi Akiva in his exposition of the verse based on the testimony of 2 witnesses, or on the testimony of 3 witnesses shall a matter be established. Deuteronomy 19:15. The Gemara elaborates as if it is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, the thief would be exempt from the fourfold or fivefold payment. As doesn't Rabbi Akiva say that this verse teaches that witnesses' testimony must refer to an entire matter and not part of a matter? In the case discussed by the Mishnah, the second set of witnesses testifies only that this man slaughtered or sold an ox or a sheep, not that he stole it. And therefore their testimony alone would not render the thief liable to pay anything. As it is taught in the Tosefta, and now we're coming full circle again, the Tosefta, Bava Batra 2:4, Rabbi Yossi said, the father Chalafta, Abba Chalafta, which I'm still not sure if that's like a title. It's like Baba, Baba Chalafta, like Abba Chalafta, or his name was actually Abba, or it's like Father Chalafta. Anyway, the way they translate it here is Father Chalafta went to study Torah with Rabbi Yochanan. But Nuri and some say that he said when Rabbi Yochanan Nuri went to study with Father Chalafta. I would think that's relatively easy to verify, but in any case, this is the daf right here, the Amud actually.